Welcome back to the O'Shea Vlogcast. Today we discuss a very potent topic as it has related to the legacy of the neo-black community. BGS Ibmore, I believe, a black YouTuber here, talked about the crack cocaine epidemic in his own words a few months ago. I will link his video so that you can see it was a very well thought out and well presented video. But today I will give you my rendition from my eyes, from what I saw. And you must understand, I had direct family members affected by crack cocaine. I will not call those people out or tell you who they are, but I can tell you it is a very disheartening thing. It was not uncommon for me to walk to school and see women running the street naked. It was not uncommon to see a woman on the street dancing to music that wasn't even playing because she's gone. Not gone physically, but gone mentally. You would see these abandoned houses and what they were called crack houses. What you would see people going in and out of these particular abandoned homes due to the fact that cocaine was being smoked in there. People in marriages or in relationships not returning home for weeks at a time. The crime went up because to support the habit, many of these people would steal, they would rob. And on the other hand, we had the status that came with dealing crack. And I'll talk about all of these things tonight. People like Felix Mitchell of Oakland would pay young boys up to $300 a day to play standby or to watch standby for the police. In so many words, looking out for the cops. I'm suffering from a runny nose here, but we're not going to stop because this is endearing. It's very sad. I will try not to personally have any emotions as I talk about this because this epidemic, I believe, while crack cocaine is still not popular today, it led on the ability for other drugs to come through. While those drugs are considered to be milder, if you want to talk about ecstasy and shrooms, it opened up a door for people to visibly use these drugs and visibly to say it's okay, as long as it's not crack cocaine. Before I get into the 80s, we got to look at what happened in the 70s. In the 60s, before that, was a time of free-spirited people. Yeah, a lot of times of revolution. Among the white communities, you saw marijuana being smoked, the hippies and things of this nature. And then in the 70s, in the black community came the demon of heroin. And now we're talking about people like Nicky Barnes, people like Frank Lucas. And such drugs were targeted to black people. If any of you remember, there was a scene in The Godfather, I believe it's Godfather 2, where the commission is sitting together and they're talking about drugs, if they should get into the drug business. And all of the people are saying in the commission, sell it to the blacks, they'll lose their minds. Don Corleone said we shouldn't get into this business because it will affect us as it affects the blacks. Well, they got into the business anyway, and the blacks were heavily affected. Heroin instantly destroyed black communities. It destroyed particular artists. At one point, Ray Charles. It was hard to dict. It was hard to overcome. It was hard to kick. People would have to go, and their bodies would go through shock getting over heroin. They would. It was an addicting drug. James Brown even made a song about it. Many people made songs about it in that particular time. But once heroin left, in came cocaine. Now, cocaine, if I can remember, and even still to the day, it's an expensive drug. So most people in urban Black communities could not afford it. But you had Central America wanting to get into it, people from Nicaragua and those who had access to cocoa leaves, and about Colombia, and what it was doing as far as exporting cocaine over from Miami, Pablo Escobar and the like. And so when cocaine came to the United States, it was affecting white people. For the most part, white people who could afford it. But when they put the baking powder to it, it was called crack rocks, crack cocaine, and you can get a little instrument, something that looks a little bit like a bong a little bit, and you could freebase it. Richard Pryor used to freebase. And that drug, while it was cheaper, it was 4 to 5 times more potent. And not only that, we're going to talk about that. If you got caught with it, your ass went to jail, double or triple the time than rich folks who had cocaine. And here goes the story of the guy you used to see. Because crack cocaine created has-beens. If you know what has-beens means, it was somebody that was great before and they ain't shit now. You could say somebody like Antoine Walker, somebody who lost all their money like Mike Tyson. He was the man then, but not no more. And we used to see people like that in the neighborhood. My mom or my dad or somebody would say, "You see that person? Yeah, that person. Yeah, that person. That was the best baseball player that the Heights ever had." That's my neighborhood, is the Heights. Yeah. See that person, Earl, over there? Yeah. Earl was the best basketball point guard in the city. But Earl started smoking crack cocaine. And you see people that you would never think that they were somebody before. It's a shocking thing, that you look at somebody and you see them in their abyss, in their pretty much toughest times. Their life has went past them. And all you see is the shell of a drug addict. People pushing cartons and going through trash cans, trying to collect cans to sell so they can smoke crack. But you never thought about this person was a beauty queen. That person was, in some cases, a lawyer. Some cases, not many. Some cases, pastors. Yes, crack cocaine got to preachers. There's a story directly of a preacher that I know that was on cocaine, got on it and got off. I believe Donald Parson of Chicago was one. I mean, it was the drug of many blacks at this time. And so there was a great demand for it. And when you have demand, and really at some points a lack of supply, you have a lot of people wanting to get into the business. A lot of brothers wanting to get in the business. Nobody thought about it as this would destroy the black community forever. Nobody thought about it like that. I mean, when I was a kid and I had friends, and the crack cocaine was popular up until, I would say, in the late 90s, because I graduated in 99. I had friends who would go to different states. And I'm going to talk about that also, because you got to understand, in places like Little Rock, places like Louisiana, places like Reno, Nevada, crack cocaine went for double to triple the price, but it came with triple or double price the risk. Places like California, it was too much competition. It's too much competition. It was too easily to get. New York, too easily to get, but you can get a lot of money if you went to Rhode Island. You can get a lot of money if you went to Utah. You can get a lot of money if you went to Reno. You can get a lot of money if you went to parts of Louisiana, Monroe and Bastrop. And I mean, even to this day, those places where it's tough at, where the law legislates, you get big money down there for crack rock, and you had an actual distribution that you could take it. You could take it from California, drive it down to Louisiana, and come back. And it was big, and still is big money in that shit. But you had a lot of young boys wanting to get in the business. Boys as young as 9 or 10 were selling. Now, this created an immediately income for boys who came from poverty-stricken homes, and as you know, they needed to help their mothers. Now, once these boys started making $200 to $300 to $400 a day, what ended up happening was, and their mamas found out what they were doing. Many times, their moms would become their hideout for the stash. The hideout. Now, it was all good when you had, let's say, everybody was making money. But then you would have situations where there was something called a drought. And a drought is when there's a supply of crack cocaine needed in the neighborhood, but don't nobody got it. And that's because maybe somebody shipping the drugs in got caught. Something got, from Colombia or to Florida, you're shipping in, I don't know, 20 pounds of cocaine or something, and they get busted. Well, then that delivery doesn't come to that neighborhood because there's so many different levels before it gets to the local dealer. You got the cocaine plant, you got the distributor, international, distributor, national. The person who sells to the other person and the person who sells to the dealer. This is the reason why you had so many young dealers wanting to get a straight connection to Mexico or a straight connection to Colombia because it was cheaper, because it was coming from many different levels. You know what I mean? So if I can get it straight from the guy himself, I can do big business. But usually it didn't happen like that. The cocaine trickled down to the local dealer. So when that particular dealer couldn't get that because the load was busted, it was a drought. You had a product, but you couldn't sell it. So your local crack cocaine people who are coming to buy it from you can't buy it from you no more. So who do they go buy it from? Jimmy down the block. Now, here's the thing. You and Jimmy down the block used to be cool, right? But because you don't have the drugs and Jimmy down the block do, Jimmy down the block has taken your customers. And now, because he's selling to your customer, even when you get it back, might not never go back to you. Now it's a war. It embedded in the Bloods and Crips and gangs like that were the distribution of crack cocaine. So when droughts happen, that's when violence happened the most. This is when a lot of guys got robbed for their stash and got killed. It was a cardinal sin to steal people's cells. It was a sin. I used to see niggas fighting in the street about you stole my cell. Wasn't much honor in that. But let's talk about how the person who was on crack, how did they get there? How did they get there? Well, I talked to family members personally. Some people were telling me that they were going through particular depressions and states of life, and the euphoric experience of crack cocaine relieved them of that. Some people said they were just at a party and tried it once and got hooked. Now, to be fair, some folks tried it and never tried it again. But many people lost particular jobs. For example, you had people in Michigan that were on the plants. You had people in factory jobs, and they were using that money, and for whatever reason, they were depressed and stuff like that. And they tried it, and they got themselves hooked, and then to the point where they couldn't even go to work no more. They was missing work. Everything was fucked up. Now, this didn't only affect just black men. It affected black women. Black women would do anything for a hit. And I think this is what a lot of guys who were in the pimp game, a lot of guys who have money wanted to get as many women, I feel, on the crack cocaine because it controlled your mind. You had no control over your mind and your actions or what you do. So a lot of women who were attractive, beautiful, became ruined over 2 to 3 years. Teeth out and talking about women just sucking, you know what I mean? All in crack houses and everybody screwing them, man, and catching AIDS, and I mean, and the families couldn't do nothing with them. When people was on crack, man, they would come and they would steal everything. You have some kids, man, that would say, my dad stole everything for Christmas present. Break in the house and steal all the gifts on Christmas Eve and sell them. Kids crying in the house, no Christmas. And this is what the epidemic was, man. You had a lot of kids, a lot of people who became thieves. Now, this created a whole new cottage industry due to crack cocaine. And the reason why it created a whole new industry is because now you can buy things a lot cheaper. Because the crack cocaine heads, it didn't work, right? They didn't have no job for the most part. So what ended up happening was a lot of folks would steal from their own family members. A lot of people who was on cocaine, if you check the criminal history record, they're going to have a record in stealing. Possession of stolen goods. Now, don't get me wrong. You would have some people, and if you know from black communities, man, you would go to a gas station. You would always have a brother out there wanting to wash your windows. Hey, man, let me wash your windows. The nigga would be at the gas station. The nigga just run to your car, washing your windows. Man, get the fuck away from my windows. Y'all remember that dude? You would pull up to the gas station. This dude will show up with some Windex and a damn a towel. And you'd be like, get the fuck away from my windows. And that brother was just trying to earn some money because even though he was a crackhead, he wasn't going to steal. He wasn't going to steal nothing. You had honorable brothers like that. That although they was on crack, they refused to steal from people. If they was going to do their habit, they would work for it. But it created a whole new industry because you would have people on crack cocaine. They became some of the best thieves. They would case houses and they would go and they would steal very, 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 very expensive things and sell them on the street. You would have dudes, man, 15, 16 years old on the streets wearing a Rolex for $500. And the reason why, because, they will be like, man, where'd you get that from? And where they would get it from is because somebody sold it to them. They gave them the cash and they would go buy crack cocaine with it. Steal your car. And if you're from black neighborhoods, man, one of the biggest tricks that crackheads had was stealing your car radio. That was the biggest thing, man. One of the biggest things they used to do was steal your car radio. They would break your window. And if y'all from the black neighborhood, you know what I'm talking about. You come outside in the morning, you have a brick through your window. Niggas stole your speakers and stole your Kenwood deck. Clips or organ. Y'all know I know what I'm talking about. They would jack your radio. And the reason why they would jack your radio is because drug dealers like speakers. They like subwoofers, and they liked nice tape decks back then. Kenwood, Pioneer, that was popular. If you had a Kenwood stereo and they saw it, they would take it from you. You know? They didn't give a damn if it was an alarm, and then they didn't care. Crackhead also led to a lot of, and I think a lot of down low, a lot of gay sex. Nobody wants to talk about that, but it created a lot of people that were black men that wanted to, that would do anything for it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. We won't get too much in that, but yeah, it created that. Then you had the dudes who idolized these guys. You see, hip hop became the idolization of crack cocaine dealers. You had everybody wanting to become Pablo Escobar. Rick Ross, the rapper, is named after the real Rick Ross, a black man from LA who sold over $300 million in cocaine. Jay-Z admitted himself, I never needed to be a rapper. I was a millionaire before I came in the game. Baby from Cash Money said I was already a millionaire before I came to rap music. You're the idolization of cocaine dealers. And the sad part about this is a lot of folks gave a lot of respect to cocaine dealers. And see, what ended up happening was, like, during Christmas time and shit like that, everybody knew these guys did what they did. But what they would do is they would give back to the community. Same thing Pablo Escobar used to do. They would sell all this shit in the community, and once or twice a year they'd give away turkeys and shit, make themselves look like they was doing something for the black communities. Nicky Barnes just do the same shit. Felix Mitchell used to do the same shit. And everybody looked at these guys as heroes. And a big part of it was because a lot of people hated the police. A lot of people hated the police. A lot of black people in black communities hated the police, especially police departments like the LAPD, Oakland PD. I mean, Oakland PD was ruthless, man. They were sick dogs on you. NYPD was ruthless. They were sick dogs on you, man. The LAPD would whoop your ass. They would kill you, man. So a lot of the people, although they did not really like crack dealers, they didn't like what it was doing to the community, they would prefer them over the police. They would prefer them over the police. And get the likes in the video up, man. We having a real conversation. Get the likes up on the video. They would prefer them over the police. And if they had a choice to honor one or the other, they would protect criminals. And the reason why I think a lot of black people started protecting criminals was because of unfair situations that happen between black folks and the police. You know, you have a lot of black people, and I'm not afraid to admit it, while you do have a lot of black men who did go to jail lawfully, you had a lot of black people who were mistreated by the police unlawfully. And a lot of people saw that daily in the neighborhood. And this is where you got the song, Fuck the Police. So guys like Felix Mitchell, guys like Freeway Rick Ross, Nicky Barnes in the 70s, Folks looked up to these people. They were the answers to the police. And when a lot of these guys killed police people, it was celebrated. Even in the black community now, a white cop gets killed or something. It's celebrated. It's celebrated. And it's celebrated not just because the person is white, I think, but it's celebrated because of the issues that black people have had with the police historically. And so you have the crack cocaine dealer. Oh, and you also had dirty cops. Come on now. In Oakland, you had cops that had blocks too. That's another thing. The police was in the cocaine era. They could be bought off, and some of them were selling dope themselves. That's true. But the cocaine dealer and the black preacher in the 80s and the 90s, the preacher has always been what the alpha male of the black community was. Everybody respected him, but now coming behind him now was the cocaine dealer. And he was the guy, even still to the day, the thug, the gangster, the drug dealer. Most of those guys, the cocaine, the dope dealer, thug, most of those guys are the same person. You can have a guy who's a Crip, who's a thug, who sells cocaine. Those guys became the alpha males in the black community. It wasn't the guy who was going to college, because the guy could be 15, 16 years old with a new ID, with a new 5.0 Mustang. He was making $500 a day cash. All the chicks wanted him. He had all the new shit. And all the rappers wanted to be him. All the girls wanted him. All of them. They had it all. And you had the brother who was trying to, go to school, be an engineer, and go to school and do things the right way. Nobody wanted that brother. And that kind of stereotype kicked it off. It kind of changed in the 70s and 80s when the black dope dealer became so visible. He became so visible. He was so visible in the streets. And you could actually see him every day. You could see his money. You could see his wealth. You could see his, cell phone. Back in the day, nigga, cell phones was big, dude. I mean, if you remember the first cell phones, man, the first cell phones was huge like this. What's up, nigga? What's up? I'm gonna come down the street. It was huge. Back in the day, you had them cell phones like Manny Fresh said that caused cancer. And they wasn't cheap, man. The first cell phones, man, was $1,000, $1,500. And these guys had these gold gazelles. Glasses, you remember the gold rim glasses, the gazelles? And they had that S curl with the two parts on the side. Oh, come on, man. You were somebody. I mean, even the pimps couldn't touch the cocaine dealers, man. The pimps couldn't touch them. A lot of the girls that ended up getting pimped was on cocaine anyway. And what it has changed, I think, even though crack cocaine is not as popular now, it has maintained the alpha male image of who the black man is today, or who is the most respected black man today. And most of these guys who sold crack ended up, changing their lifestyle, became pro-blacks. You have your brother Polites and your guys like that. They just kind of reinvented the wheels. But now you see the same kind of guy is still being pushed. That same image. Hip hop pushes it. And it's not the brother who works full time and tries to save his money. No. The guy who is the most important figure is the dude who is using drugs, the dude who can cause the most violence, the dude who's from broken homes. That is what is considered to be the alpha male in most urban communities. Even people in middle class urban communities think that this is the kind of guy that you want to deal. That's the image being pushed. And so from the crack cocaine era, that image is still being pushed. The thug guy, the guy who flosses everything. And they got that from the crack cocaine dealers, man, and the heroin dealers. Those guys were the guys who exemplified what it meant to show off. Having cars, multiple women. It comes from that era. When you see athletes showing what they got off, and you see Money Mayweather doing that, the crack cocaine dealers did it first, man. That's all it is. So I just wanted to give a quick talk about the crack cocaine epidemic of the 1980s. I know BGS Ibmore did one, and I wanted to do one because I was born in 81. I saw it up until the 90s. I saw many people affected by it, man. It was very sad. It's a sad thing. But I hope you enjoyed this. I really appreciate all of you. I want to give a shout out to Ray Clement, Rob Marsh, Don Easy, Reynold, Cherry. Thank you, Cherry. A lot of people, man, if you came from African families in Nigeria, Ghana, you were immigrants to the United States, and you saw Black people doing certain things, you wouldn't understand why they was doing it, because most Black immigrants are not affected by it, but a lot of African Americans were. So like the video. Real quick, shout out to Edward Montero. Thank you, brothers, for all of you guys who have donated to this channel. I really, 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 really appreciate you. And when you brothers donate to the channel, what I do is with every money I document, I take in, I put it toward the site. And the Negro Manosphere, we don't make any money on the site as of right now, but that money does go to pay the brothers. It pays Obsidian to write. You get people like Alan Roger Curry to write. You get all the brothers who do write for us, Dr. Alvin. So it comes out with the information that you want to see with your own media. And the money that we get from YouTube and stuff, that also helps. I mean, it's not a lot. That's not a lot, but thankfully I live in Poland, so I can survive here. But this is what we do. We have the finance section that's coming out tomorrow. We have Ron Wills. So we have a day. We've been posting daily, and we have 534 subscribers to the site. I want to get up to 10,000 by the end of the year. So if you are not a confirmed subscriber to the Negro Manosphere, I need you to drop your emails right now. Drop it in the chat. Or if you can't drop it in the chat, I need you to send it to planoshay@gmail.com. Thank you, Auntie Chris, if that's really you. All right. So I want you to drop it. Actually, I think I might do an article on this particular topic. And want you to drop it and get confirmed to the Negro Manosphere. And the reason why I wanted to get you confirmed is we cannot say everything that we would like to say on YouTube. And the reason why is because obviously it's money involved in this, and YouTube has ads and stuff like that. So we want to respect their wishes. If we can't say what we need to say, that's cool. But we have a voice. Thank you, Rob, for you brothers and you men in general that have, a certain say. We need to have our own media. And I'm not asking brothers to donate to a blog that you have not read. You don't feel that there's no value in it. If you like what I do on YouTube, certainly, always feel free to donate. But what I want you to do is I want you to read it. I want you to get involved in the comments on the blog, because we post daily. We post every day. And my99my@gmail. I don't believe that's a damn real email, but we'll try you out. So we are coming up, averaging now, without even being on Facebook, we are getting about 3,000 views a day on traffic, and that's without Facebook. That's how much the brothers are really, 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 really concerned with their message and their agenda being out. And it's a sacrifice to do this, because it does cost money to do the blog and to have writers to write, and we have good writers. But at the end of the day, our voice is being known there. And I'm getting ready to start blogging again almost daily. And I'll be talking a lot of shit when I be writing. So I'm just glad that you brothers have donated to it. I really thank you. I really appreciate all of you for what you've done. Thank those who've liked the videos, those who come to the channels. Y'all don't have to do that. Thank you, Desmond. Damon. Why did they $20? Well, I'm about to I'm gonna have me some hoes. But I really appreciate you, brothers. I appreciate you. And this is the reason why we keep fighting. We keep making our platforms better. If you're seeing, we have other platforms like Save Yourself Black Men. Before this year, there were just YouTube videos. The Black Manosphere was on YouTube videos. And now brothers are out getting their own devices. Damon, are you subscribed? Let me know. To the Negro Manosphere. Drop your email if you're not. So I thank you, brothers, for what you've been doing, pushing our message. You have hate groups, real hate groups. I won't call their names. They have their own websites and things. Black men are not a hate group. We're just brothers who have our own, theories on things, and people might not like our truth, but we can say what we want to say on our actual blog. Tomorrow we have a great finance article by Josh Salito. So I petition that you would, read that and gain some knowledge from that. But yeah, they took the Facebook page down. We're gonna come back on Facebook later in the year, but I want to get to 10,000. I want 10,000 emails. I'm looking for 10,000 confirmed, brother. It's free for you to join up and subscribe. So, brothers, continue to subscribe. planetoshay@gmail.com and everything. So, like the videos. If you're just coming in, make sure you like the video. Make sure you share it. All right, we still doing great things on the channel. Yeah, Black Lion. She was a good interview. So, as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. JPV. I'm out, y'all. Peace.